Well, Hollywood couldn't write a better script, but tonight it's going to try. The life of one of the most famous Baltimoreans, Babe Ruth, hits the big screen. Actor John Goodman stars as the Babe. News Channel 2's Jamie Costello reports from the place where Ruth really was a babe.
Even before the pinstripes, there was Baltimore.
Where did he come from? Where'd you come from, Rook?
That's easy. 216 Emory Street. George Herman Ruth was born in this room back in February of 1895. He was really born 97 years too early, for if he looked out his bedroom window now, he would notice there's a pretty good playground just 2 blocks away. 90 years ago, center field at the new park used to be Daddy Ruth's saloon. To straighten the troubled youth out, his family sent him to St. Mary's Industrial School off of Caton and Wilkins Avenue. Here he would pick up a bat for the first time and meet his first mentor, Father Matthias. Then came Jack Dunn. Dunn wanted Ruth so badly for his Baltimore Orioles, he became Ruth's guardian.
Fellas, I want to sign this kid to play professional ball. He's really good. And they said, that's fine, Jack, but he's underage. You're going to have to not only sign him to a contract, but sign papers becoming his legal guardian.
Nicknamed Dunn's baby, writers would eventually call him Babe Ruth. By the way, he never hit a home run in an Oriole uniform.
So Ruth went to Boston, never hit a homer in a game as an Oriole.
Ruth was sold in 1914 to the Red Sox, who later made the boo-boo of a lifetime, selling him to the Yankees. Here he would become the nation's most celebrated star, not only on the field, but off. In his dying days of 1948 of throat cancer, Ruth got up out of a New York hospital bed and came to Baltimore one last time for a charity event. The game was rained out. Ruth signed his last autograph at Friendship Airport, got back on the plane, and went home. George Herman Ruth would die 1 month later. Tonight, The Babe, starring John Goodman, points the Sultan of SWAT back into the nation's spotlight. Jamie Costello, News Channel 2.
In some areas to decrease crime. It's something we don't like to hear. It's happened again. Another child has been shot to death in Baltimore City. 12-year-old Monet Walker died this morning, hours after she was shot in the head in a West Baltimore West Side high-rise. Now, police have arrested a 16-year-old, a friend of the victim's family, and charged him with murder. News Channel 2's Mark Vernorelli reports.
Police say 12-year-old Monet Walker was shot by her sister's boyfriend, a 16-year-old, illegally carrying a gun because, he told his family, he needed it for protection against inner-city crime. Loved ones say Ira Martin had been shot at while visiting his girlfriend and their baby at 770 West Saratoga. Ever since, he carried a gun, which almost everyone at 770 West Saratoga had heard about or seen.
They've seen him with guns for the past 2 months. He's been coming around here slinging guns in people's faces, and it don't make no sense, and I'm glad they got him.
Monet Walker was shot in the face. Just what happened in the moments before that, police haven't said. But their first-degree murder charge against Ira Martin makes it obvious they don't believe Ira's family when they say it was accidental.
It wasn't intentional, because I know he not that type of person that'll shoot somebody, you know, especially a female. You know, never alone, he wasn't raised up like that.
There is tremendous grief here today. A 12-year-old girl is dead. Her sister's baby now has a father facing murder charges. And the suspect's family? Well, they're left to wonder what many others now wonder. Was it really worth it for 16-year-old Ira Martin to carry that illegal handgun? Mark Vernorelli, News Channel 2, West Baltimore.
16-year-old Ira Martin faces first-degree murder and handgun charges. Stan?
Tonight, 3 Baltimore men are facing a variety of charges following their arrest by Maryland State Police. Dr. Reginald Stalling of the Surgicare Medical Center on East Mount Royal Avenue is charged with presenting false insurance claims and attempted theft. 2 of his colleagues at the center, Michael Sterrett and Ahmed Narbakish, face the same charges, as well as charges of practicing medicine without a license and misrepresenting themselves as doctors. If convicted, each faces a maximum of over 25 years in jail and fines in excess of...
Is News Channel 2 at 6.
His North Baltimore home is riddled with bullets.
But apparently not even that can deter a blind community activist who says he's determined to take back his neighborhood from drug dealers. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight at 6 o'clock. It was a pre-dawn attack with semi-automatic weapons.
Luckily, none of the bullets found their mark, but it was a clear and potential deadly message for community activist Robert Nowlin. News Channel 2's Terry Owens has the story.
Blind since infancy, Robert Nowlin has been fending for himself for a long time. But tonight, the self-proclaimed community activist may be facing the biggest challenge of his life. Nowlin was apparently the target of a shooting Monday night, a shooting that left his house scarred by bullets.
It couldn't be random because they sat there and they shot deliberately. It wasn't anybody in a car riding past. These people stood outside and took aim.
Nowlin's wife and 4 children were also home at the time of the shooting. In fact, it took 3 stitches to close a wound Mrs. Nowlin suffered after stepping on shattered glass.
I believe they shot through my front window, and it went into here and went right on through to my dining room.
The Nowlins believe the shooting was prompted by a drug raid earlier Monday night at a house just 2 doors away.
They were saying, probably that their usual names that they call me, that blind MF and that blind 5-0, he probably had something to do with this.
Sam Thomas lives next door to the Nowlins. While he supports his neighbor, Thomas admits he's afraid for his wife and 5 children.
My wife came upstairs 20 minutes before it happened, and they could have shot my wife. And you never know who they're going to shoot. And it don't make no sense.
Despite the attack, the Nowlins have vowed to fight on. Mr. Nowlin chairs a crime deterrent committee in his community and has planned a candlelight vigil for Monday night.
I do know this, that although I'm afraid for my family, I won't be pushed that way or run out by people that I haven't done nothing to, by hoodlums.
I'm going to stick with my husband. Whatever he wants to do, I'm 100% behind him.
Even if it means putting your life at jeopardy?
Yes.
A lot of people came by my house yesterday that had been afraid to come out, but they expressed their anger and their disgust at what happened to me, and they have indicated that from now on they will be out and they will join us.
Mr. Nowlin actually believes some good can come from this incident. He believes his neighbors will realize that the only way they can take back their community is by standing together. In Baltimore, Terry Owens, News Channel 2.
Terry tells us the candlelight vigil planned by Mr. Nowlin is scheduled for 8 o'clock Monday night in the 4000 block of Old York Road. It's in memory of 8 people who were shot there just a few weeks ago, 2 of them fatally. Stan?
Well, a new study out of Johns Hopkins University suggests that teenagers are often wrongly accused of committing most of the violent crime in our state. The study says that in 1990, for example, youths between the ages of 11 and 17 accounted for 1 out of every 7 arrests in Maryland. That's about 14.2%. 1/4, or more than 28% of those arrests took place in Baltimore City. 16% of the state's teens live in Baltimore City, but they still are in a minority when it comes to committing crimes. The study suggests they are responsible for 16% of city arrests in 1990. Now, report author Dr. David Altshuler also predicts that violent crime numbers will grow as the 11 to 17 age group ages. He hopes his study will prompt local officials to develop new correctional options for violent juvenile offenders. Well, tomorrow, a Howard County judge is expected to decide if the 17-year-old charged with the murder of Pamela Basu will be tried outside of Howard County. Bernard Miller of Washington, D.C. is one of 2 people charged in the carjacking death of the Howard County mother. Miller's attorney claims the media attention and public meetings after the incident would make it very difficult for the teen to get a fair trial. He said he's favoring Prince George's County as a possible location for the trial.
A Baltimore City school is fighting mad. It's in a battle, it seems, to keep its grades. News Channel 2's Brad Ganson is standing by live with more on this turf war. Brad, explain.
Well, I'm at Mount Royal School. It's at McMicken and Mount Royal, downtown. And what's happening here is that this school has kindergarten through 8th grade. And there's a new plan in front of the school board which would lop off grades 6, 7, and 8 and put those folks in a middle school. You're a 6th and 7th grade teacher. What's wrong with that?
We have a school plan that works. Our students are achieving, they are excelling, and we think that if it's not broken, then don't fix it.
The mayor says he likes K through 8. The school board president says there's a lot of opposition on the school board to any changes in K through 8. It appears the K through 8 issue is dead. So why demonstrate now?
Because our parents need to know, our students need to know, and we need to know that this issue is truly dead. And if it's dead, then we need to bury it. Don't wait until April to make the vote. We're urging that the school board make the vote now, because we need closure to this issue.
Thank you. Benita Lilly, she's a teacher here at Mount Royal School. They're now forming up to have a little pep rally, and once they do that, then, Beverly, they're going to get on 3 buses, and they're going to go over to the 3rd and final forum for December on this new plan to rezone the schools here in Baltimore City.
All right, thank you very much, Brad Ganson, reporting live. Well, budget cuts have had a huge effect on the University of Maryland system. And at this hour, the Maryland Board of Regents for the 10 state campuses is voting. Its plan is to eliminate or downsize 100 departments within the system. But as the Board of Regents arrived at the campus, it was met by 300 students loudly demonstrating the cuts. The students say the regents are looking at economics, not the quality of the programs. Students came from all over Maryland to protest. This senior is from Salisbury State.
Because education comes first. Education over economic anytime. Education first. We'll even pay more money to go to school there. They've been raising our tuition anyway. I'd rather pay more money to keep the academic integrity of the university than to see it lost.
These students have all decided to take time out from their exams in order to be here and prove we're studying for our exams because we care about our education. Why can't they postpone their vote until after the exam time?
The board wants to save $25 million with these cuts. It says the more that this move is necessary because since the state has cut spending some 20% in the last 3 years. Well, another school in our area, this time a high school, is looking to make an addition to its curriculum. That's because the students are having additions of their own. Kenwood High School will start an in-school daycare program in January. The school says it has the highest pregnancy rate of any Baltimore County school. It hopes to keep pregnant moms in school after their babies are born. Students who have kids or who are pregnant say having daycare will help keep them in school.
I was real worried about who was going to take care of the baby before the daycare program was mentioned, but now that it's mentioned, then I feel fine.
Kenwood says in the past, about 90% of the students who had babies didn't return to the classroom. The school expects more than 30 students will deliver babies by the end of the school year.
In other news tonight, Baltimore City Sheriff's deputies were out bright and early this morning on a modern-day roundup. They were picking up deadbeat parents. 36-year-old Benjamin Bond was one of 2 people picked up this morning. He was arrested at his East Baltimore home for owing $5,800 in back child support to his only child. Also arrested, 51-year-old James Kearney. He was picked up at his job with Aero Cab. Police say Kearney owns more than $12,000. And 2 more warrants were issued today. One for 37-year-old Leroy Knight of the 1800 block of Rayner Avenue, and also 40-year-old David Turner of the 2900 block of Riggs Avenue. If you have any information regarding Turner or Knight, call 1-800-332-6347. Well, more than 50 alleged deadbeat dads have been released from Anne Arundel County Jail. A circuit court judge ruled many of them were wrongly imprisoned for non-payment. After a series of hearings, they were released. Kenny Adams spent more than 4 months in jail, and he said he lost his job, and that's why he fell behind in payments.
When I was incarcerated, I ended up losing, and I just ended up wasting a lot of time sitting in the detention center. And I ended up actually owing more now by being in the detention center than I did when I could have had a chance to be out on the street.
Many of these people are just the hardest hit in these economic times, and there was really no showing that they could pay the money. They've been out of work for long periods of time, and the court ruled that if they made good faith efforts to try to find jobs, that was the best they could do.
There are conditions attached to the releases. The fathers were told they must find work, make payments, and report back to court next month.
Authorities say Lonnie Nixon overpowered a corrections officer and attempted to drive away with a bus filled with inmates. The officers responded with a hail of bullets, wounding Nixon and preventing his escape. But because of the incident, jail officials say their policies will have to be reviewed.
We will look into the matter involving the attempted escape and the assault on our correctional officers, who are our primary concern here. They make the system run. They do a very professional job, and it is our obligation and the state's focus to take care of our employees.
Nixon was in custody on gun and drug charges. Assault and attempted escape will now be added to that list. In the meantime, Nixon is listed in good condition and headed for the maximum security wing of the Baltimore Detention Center.
Judy has more on the story.
The 2 candy bars they ordered still sit on the counter. The men who ordered them are now behind bars. Police say these 3 men, Rodney Nickens, Michael Dixon, and Kenneth Petrell, were involved in the robbery and shooting at the country store in Owella. Store manager Jay Patel is home recuperating today, with a bullet still lodged in his temple and another in his mouth.
Tell him I would love to hear from him. He doesn't come here, but I would like to talk to him.
His wife Paula took leave from her job to run the store.
Jay is doing okay, but we have to watch him real good, closely, his temperature and how he's feeling, all the muscles, how he, if he does not bring up blood and all that stuff.
Pat Mascara, Patel's landlord, says he's usually here with a couple other men, but he told Patel he would be late last Friday.
He says, come down after lunch, and then we'll shoot the breeze. And then 12:30, the phone rings. He says, come on down, I've been shot. And that was it. I mean, after he was shot, he knocked the guy down.
No question Jay Patel is a strong man. Even with 2 bullets in his face, he managed to follow the men out of the store and then notice them getting into a red hatchback in his parking lot. After that, Patel managed to go back inside and called 911, his wife, then Mascara. Owella residents know Patel as the man who annually flies Santa in by helicopter and the man who will give you a loan when you're down on your luck. In fact, one resident told us Patel knows one of these suspects.
A friend of his, and Jay would give him credit. They would come up here and get lunch. Jay would give him credit every day, and then he turns around and does something like that.
Other friends have left little notes at the store. This one, taped to the front window, says, "I cried hard and deep. I can't understand how an evil thing can happen to a good person." In Owella, Carolyn Pursuti, News Channel 2.
Meanwhile, in other news tonight, jurors heard a confession from the alleged co-conspirator in the death of Catonsville businessman Vito Pilius. Prosecutors played a tape that Clarence Woodward made while in police custody. Now,
we got out here, the first floor was on fire, and we saw the girl banging on the window trying to get out. And somebody was telling her to go around the back, but she couldn't get downstairs, and then it exploded.
When firefighters arrived to 2434 East Biddle Street, there was nothing they could do to help the 3 people trapped inside. 18-year-old Robin Hobson, her 1.5-year-old daughter Mariah, and another little girl all died in the fire.
I heard the girl come out hollering, fire, fire, so we ran around the corner. We couldn't get in. Did everything, kicked the door, tried to kick the door in, did the front end and all that, just couldn't get in at all.
Courtney Hobson stood by in disbelief and shock. His daughter and granddaughter died in the fire.
She don't bother nobody, she just stayed to herself. She like to have fun.
Living here side by side for 40 years, we never had any trouble. We always got along good.
An electrical short in this window unit air conditioner is believed to have started the fire.
There was an air conditioner in that front window. Very possibly that could have caused an overheating situation in the electrical system in the house. We're not really sure, but we do believe it was an electrical malfunction.
And what makes this tragedy even worse is that Hobson buried his mother just last week. In East Baltimore, Alicia Taylor, News Channel 2.
And just minutes ago, the 3rd victim in that fire was identified as 7-year-old Jakia Burden. Beverly?
Well, Stan, police now have a drawing of the man they suspect raped a 10-year-old girl at Lexington Terrace Apartments. He's described as a dark-skinned African-American male between the ages of 35 and 40. He stands about 5'10", weighs maybe 150 pounds. If you have any information about this suspect or the case, you're asked to call Baltimore City Police immediately. And it was last night on News Channel 2 we told you of Myra Bates' daughter being raped at Lexington Terrace last weekend in a 110-unit high-rise building that is practically deserted. Well, Bates took on city leaders to get her family out of that building. Tonight, her story marks a victory. And News Channel 2's Kim Skeen is standing by with this live report from Lexington Terrace. Kim?
Beverly, it was indeed a very happy day here for Myra Bates. That's her apartment up there on the 5th floor of Lexington Terrace, an apartment that is now empty because she fought City Hall and won. Everything Myra Bates owns in this world is being loaded onto a moving truck. At last, she and her 3 children are leaving Lexington Terrace public housing, where Myra's 10-year-old daughter was raped.
I don't even want to think about it no more. It's just a whole bunch of bad memories here. I'm just glad I'm getting my children out. And we just make a fresh start all over again. It's like we just have a new life now.
Justice for James! Justice for James! Yesterday, Myra marched on City Hall and stormed into the Baltimore Housing Department to confront Daniel Henson, the Commissioner of Housing. Myra demanded to be moved out of this high-rise since her daughter was lured into a vacant apartment and attacked last weekend. Most of the apartments here are vacant. City housing officials have transferred all but 22 families out of the 110-unit building because there are plans to renovate the dilapidated structure. In January, the mayor and city council president, Mary Pat Clark, both promised to improve life for Lexington Terrace tenants. But for the families still left in the building, life is worse, not better. Myra Bates says water has been leaking into her 5th-floor apartment for months. And now that city housing has found the Bates family another place to live, only this terrified mother and her 2 young children will be on the 5th floor.
It makes me feel very scared to be here with all these vacant units.
A caring person, a caring commissioner would have moved 21 families out way before now.
Barber McKinney is an advocate for public housing. She says the city's response to the needs of these tenants is too little, too late.
If you're commissioner of housing and you know what your job is and you know what the situation is, there's 22 families in a high-rise building where there should be 110, then that should have been your first priority to move those 22 families out immediately, not after the fact that someone was raped.
I feel for everybody that's left in here. I wish they could leave today, too.
Few families are left here tonight. They will not be leaving anytime soon. The housing commissioner did not want to comment today except to say that he has received approval from the federal government to move the remaining people out of this building, but he will not say if he has actually made the decision to do that. Beverly?
And has that news been passed on to the 21 remaining families?
Well, so far they haven't been told anything, Beverly. The commissioner says that he's going to be letting them know as soon as he makes the decision, but we don't know how long that might be. And it could take another 2 weeks, housing spokesmen say, to actually move the people because they have to find places to put them.
So they'll have to deal with a dangerous situation a while longer.
A little while longer, yes.
Thank you very much. Kim Skeen reporting live from Lexington Terrace. Stan?
Well, tonight the NAACP is hoping it has laid to rest the controversy surrounding its support of an NFL franchise for Charlotte. The civil rights organization's executive director today issued a public apology to Baltimore. Dr. Benjamin Chavis also told reporters there was never any intent to favor one city over another.
We wanted to clarify because somehow it got out that we were endorsing one city's bid over another city's bid. And that was not the case.
This organization, which is headquartered here, is not in the business of endorsing one city's bid over another city's bid. Is the NAACP as an organization supporting a fair share agreement process? Answer is yes.
Local NAACP officials say they hope to reach a fair share agreement here in Baltimore. And despite this flap, the organization says it does reserve the right to eventually endorse a potential franchisee. Well, today's apology by Dr. Chavis just wasn't enough for Maryland Governor Schaefer. He's still angry about last week's endorsement. News Channel 2's Annapolis Bureau Chief Lou Davis joins us now to talked with the governor just moments ago about this morning's announcement.
And angry may not be a strong enough word. The governor insists that Baltimore and Maryland have been hurt, and he is upset. He is upset that he was not even asked to this morning's meeting with NAACP officials.
They accepted all the benefits from us and then turned their back on us. So it was an endorsement by them, and while they can say that it wasn't, and incidentally, I was not included in the meeting, and why, I wonder why.
The governor had been briefed on the apology by Dr. Chavis, but he said he was concerned that it was all becoming an issue of race.
Only members of the Afro-American community was there. It was the state of Maryland that would lose as a result of this. And as far as us pushing minority contractors and minority business from the time I was mayor, we led the way, and we did it in the state. And again, we pushed hard on that. And to have the doctors say that it wasn't an endorsement, it's not true. It was.
Governor Schaefer said he will meet with Dr. Chavis if the NAACP likes, but he said it won't make any difference.
You know, he could have called yesterday, but he didn't. And so as far as I'm concerned, anytime he wants to meet, but he'll get the same answer from me. Right now, I don't like that. I don't like the way we were treated at all. We worked too hard.
The governor said although he has been snubbed and the city and the state have been snubbed, he feels ultimately it won't make
violent crime. You talk about drug hotspots. A lot of people will tell you to look no further than North Avenue. That's where we're at tonight, and it's because of the level of criminal activity here that this strip will be among the first to see that beefed up foot patrol presence. In every precinct of the city, day and night, additional beat patrol officers will be on the street.
We know that the only way to police the city in the 21st century is by virtue of that officer in contact that I know when I joined this agency of working and problem solving in those neighborhoods. So
I think it's a great idea. At least it'll stop, it may not stop it completely, but at least it'll slow it up a lot.
The manpower will cost the city more than $1 million in overtime. Money the cash-strapped department picked up from a state grant.
Officers at this time for that grant are now in the police academy, but still we need individuals on the street now, so this is where we're using some of the funds in order to go right into those communities now.
The stepped-up police presence follows a second consecutive weekend of violence in Baltimore. With 8 murders since Friday, the city has now recorded more than 200 homicides for the year. Can additional beat patrol officers make a difference?
There are some crimes that are going to occur no matter how many police you put out here.
I don't think it's going to affect the murder rate if you're looking at numbers, but it's going to affect the overall picture.
The police were out today talking with everyone from business owners to average citizens. They're pulling all the stops to try and curb the alarming number of killings on city streets.
Just like I say, it's going to take time, you know, but once the people in the community could reassure themselves as far as having a foot patrol in the neighborhood as time go on should make a difference.
Now, Commissioner Woods reminded us today that help is on the way for his beleaguered department. There are 3 classes currently in the police academy, with the first set to graduate in September. Stan?
And again, Terry, the overtime walking beats will last as long as the funds do, correct?
That's right. They've got as much money as they need to get through this sort of stopgap period, a little over $1 million, money coming from a state grant. So the money's in place, and now they just need to use it judiciously to try and keep things in place until they get that class of graduates out.
All right, good enough. Terry Owens reporting from North Avenue tonight. Thank you, Terry. Other news tonight, Tanya Lucas denied today that she set the fire that killed 6 of her 7 children a year ago, but prosecutors continue to argue that she did. Lucas is on trial on charges that she murdered her children to get a new house and to hide the fact that her 2-year-old son had been abused and malnourished. That child, Gregory, weighed only 10 pounds at 2 years of age. Today, she told the court he was a poor eater and, quote, "I never set any fire in my house," end quote. She also added, "I never committed child abuse." The case is expected to go to the jury by Wednesday.
Maryland Attorney General Joe Curran is heading to court to prevent a teacher accused of sexual abuse from going Hollywood with his story. Anne Arundel County teacher Ron Price says he signed an option to tell his story to a Hollywood producer. He's admitted to having sex with his students. He's going on trial in the fall. Now, Curran wants to see the contract and, if Price is found guilty, to give the profits of that to the victims.
So that if it is about the crime or the charged crime, and if money is going to pass, we want to hold that money for the benefit of the victims. The theory being, as I said earlier, crime does not pay. We don't want a person to tell his story about a crime. We want the money to go to the victims, and that's what we intend to do.
A court hearing on turning the contract over to the Attorney General is scheduled for August 5th, and attorneys for Price have not yet commented on this suit.
Probably the strangest story of the day is about a cat burglar that's on the loose in northeast Baltimore. But this prowler is more interested, apparently, in stalking his prey than robbing them. Police say a cat burglar has been breaking into homes in the Bel Air, Edison, and Mayfield communities to touch women while they're in bed with their husbands. Lauren Strife and her husband woke up to find the cat burglar just outside their bedroom door.
Extremely frightening because the fact that we had been lying there not much on sleeping, knowing someone was right outside our bedroom door just makes you feel very violated.
We do believe that the individual is not a sex offender because he has had every opportunity to be involved in something like that, and he has not done it.
Police believe this cat burglar is responsible for a total of 10 break-ins since the middle of June. In some cases, the man helps himself to food and a beer, but he passes up purses and wallets. Authorities are now analyzing the man's fingerprints. The prowler is described as being slim and in his 20s, but right now police are not sure if the suspect is black or white.
Well, both sides are talking tonight, but so far there's no agreement in the Bethlehem Steel strike. This is the 10th day of that union walkout. Over the weekend, union and management officials met for 2 12-hour sessions, so far without success. Workers refuse to return to work unless their new contract includes a pay raise. Meanwhile, management continues to offer incentives to end the strike.
Shot, 3 of them young children. Police now say the shooting last night at Chase Street and Patterson Park Avenue started as a result of a domestic dispute. According to authorities, about a dozen people were involved in the fight. At first, it was sticks, fists, and bats being used, but then somebody pulled out a gun and cranked off 10 shots. None of the injuries were life-threatening, and the children were taken to Johns Hopkins Hospital and later released. They are said to be doing fine tonight.
Also last night, 2 juveniles managed to escape from the Hickey School, and they remain at large this hour. News Channel 2's Kim Skeen explains the frustration felt by the school's new owners who took over the troubled school a few weeks ago.
Behind this barbed wire are some of Maryland's youngest criminals. Kids who have committed serious crimes, everything from armed robbery to murder. The Charles Hickey School for Juvenile Offenders is supposed to have maximum security. Yet sometime last night, 2 youngsters simply walked out undetected and scaled this 14-foot fence.
I'm really frightened. I have 2 children, and we just don't understand why, now that it's been taken over by another concern, that it's continuing to happen.
Wendy White lives only a mile from the Hickey School, and she has reason to be frightened. Her daughter Kelly was at a neighbor's house one day when an escapee showed up at the door.
And there was an escapee sitting there in full dress uniform asking us, various questions if we knew where a 7-Eleven was or if we knew where a Highs was that they could get to. And all we needed to do was just simply tell them a quick answer and shut the door. But it was really frightening.
Since 1989, there have been hundreds of escapes from the Hickey School. In 1991, the problems only grew worse when the state brought in a private company called Rebound to turn the troubled facility around. Under Rebound's watch, there were almost 100 escapes in just 14 months, prompting Governor Schaefer to fire Rebound and hire another firm. That new company is YSI, Youth Services International, a firm owned by the founder of Jiffy Lube. YSI manages 5 other juvenile detention centers in 4 states and has a contract to run the Hickey School for the next 5 years.
This company's highest priority is public safety.
Bob Hughes is a spokesman for YSI. He says the company is reevaluating every aspect of Hickey security.
They're turning the place upside down to ensure that everything in the way of security hardening that can be done is being done.
There must not be enough security system there that they can just get up and walk out of the place without anybody being hurt or anybody knowing about it.
People hope YSI will change that. Their safety depends on it. Kim Skeen, News Channel 2, Cub Hill.
Fewer than 200 juvenile offenders are now housed at the Hickey School, half as many as 4 years ago. The state reduced the school's population to make it more manageable.
Well, they made a mad dash for the finish line in the Cherrywood Manor second annual wheelchair race today. The spectators watched as 4 participants awaited the words, "Ladies, start your engines." 73-year-old Gina Bridge operated chair number 12 as she got off to an early start. She held on throughout the race to win.
News Channel 2 at 6.
Tonight, Baltimore County Police are searching for a suspected killer who could be armed and dangerous. But they are also looking for a mystery woman who may be able to solve a double murder case. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to have more on that story in just a moment. But first, a joyride turns deadly for at least one Baltimore teenager. Another teen is in shock trauma right now. It all began late this afternoon when police spotted the teens driving in an alleged stolen car. News Channel 2's Carolyn Pursuti joins us live from Northeast Baltimore with more details on the story. Carolyn?
Stan, you can see half of that car right behind me. This twisted metal is actually the front half of a 1991 Honda Civic. The other half is about 60 feet away, wrapped around a pole that the driver apparently hit at a very high rate of speed. In fact, the speedometer is stuck at 120 miles an hour. Now, we do have new information about the passenger who was killed in this accident. He is 23 years old, and he is from Baltimore, but as yet we have no name. We have no identification of the driver either. He was flown to shock trauma. Now, apparently an officer saw this car at about 33rd Street and Hillen Road. As he turned around to follow the car, the driver took off at a high rate of speed, and before he knew it, the car had crashed into that pole. There is no indication that drinking is a factor in this accident, but as one major told me, this should serve as a visual sign to all of us tonight to slow down, don't drink and drive, and also to wear seatbelts. Stan?
Certainly does, Carolyn. Thank you. Carolyn Pursuti reporting tonight from Northeast Baltimore. Back to our top story now. News Channel 2 has learned today that the motive for last month's Catonsville barbershop killings may not have been robbery as police first believed. And that isn't the only new development in this case. Sources say the man who allegedly committed the murders was released early from prison. News Channel 2's Kim Skeen reports.
He is armed and dangerous, police say. Authorities now believe it was Jeffrey Damon Ebb who walked into this Catonsville barbershop last month and gunned down 3 people. 2 pieces of evidence link Ebb to the murder scene.
The informant information that we got was very good and placed him at the scene. Secondly, that informant information also told us that the gun that he used in the crimes had been passed along, sold in a street sale to a man who then later we found out was arrested in Baltimore City.
But News Channel 2 has learned police were looking for Ebb the week before he became a suspect in the barbershop shootings. Sources say Ebb is also wanted for failing to report to his parole officer 4 times in the last 6 months. He served less than 4 years of an 11-year sentence for assault, possession of drug paraphernalia, and eluding police. Ebb was released from prison last January, 3 months early, for good behavior.
Our correctional system has failed.
Michael Peters' son was a customer in the barber shop. Both Michael Jr. and barber James Brody were shot and killed.
Are you angry with the person who shot your son?
I wouldn't say so much as angry at him as much as what we ourselves have allowed in our society to take place.
Ebb lives in that row house here in Lower Edmondson Village. Neighbors describe him as a quiet person who spends a lot of time at home with his family.
I know that he has a son, and he seemed like the father image, and he doesn't seem like a type of person that what I heard recently about him.
Sources say the barber owed Ebb money, and that may have been a motive. And he may not have been working alone. Police are also looking for a woman who showed up minutes before the killings and ran away when the shooting started.
We don't know if she had a part in this crime or not, and in fact, her life could be in danger as well.
While police search for Ebb, Michael Peters searches for some sense of justice for the life of his only son.
My son was my heart. He was. And when this happened to him, it just tore my heart out. And it's hard to get that back.
Kim Skeen, News Channel 2, Baltimore.
If you think you've seen Jeffrey Webb, you're asked to call Baltimore County Police at 887-2198. Well, there were just a few hours left in 1992. A lot of you are no doubt making plans to ring in the new year. And unfortunately, that means our highways and streets may be a little less safe. Of course, you can do your part by not drinking and driving. But if you do, expect to get some extra attention of law enforcement officials. News Channel 2's Terry Owens is standing by live in downtown Baltimore tonight with this report. Terry?
Stan, we are down to just about 6 hours and counting. I'm live in downtown Baltimore where the streets are already starting to fill with partygoers. And of course, you know, later on tonight, the streets will be jammed with people attending the fireworks. Safety, of course, is the buzzword tonight. I spoke with the state police just a little while ago, and they told me last New Year's Eve, one person died in a traffic fatality. But of course, even one life is too many, especially if a drunk driver is involved. Streets tonight, be aware police throughout the metropolitan area will be on the lookout for drunk drivers.
We know that there are people that will be drinking who don't normally drink, or people who are drinking more than they normally drink and who think they can still get behind the wheel and drive. We intend to make sure that they're taken off the road before they cause an accident. Between Christmas and New Year's last year, the state police arrested 62 people for drunk driving. Shipley says designated driver programs and others like it are working, but he says there are still those who want to test the law. When a person sees a Maryland State Trooper over the next couple of days, they can be assured that he or she is looking for a drunk driver. That's our #1 priority.
44 cab driver, 519 West Bryant.
Getting people home safely tonight is also the #1 priority of Yellow Cab. Free rides are being offered to partygoers who've had a little too much to drink.
You'll be taken home, given back your keys, told where your car is. You can pick up your car at a later date, and you're home to celebrate the new year with your friends and family.
Noon says his operators will handle nearly 400 calls an hour tonight, this one of their busiest nights of the year.
It's not necessarily a dangerous night, but it's a very hectic night because everybody wants to move right away. And there are only a limited number of drivers and vehicles in the city. And we can't move everybody immediately. People have to be a little bit patient with us, but we'll get everybody moved as fast as possible.
And then there are drivers like Zach Gale, who simply refuses to work New Year's Eve.
You have a lot of drunks, and they give you a lot of trouble. Because whenever time you pick them up, they tell you one address, and then they change, and you reach there, they tell, oh, you take me the wrong way, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't like that.
And Stan, while Zach won't be out here tonight, Yellow Cab will have more than 400 vehicles on the street.
All right, Terry, I know this is going to be your first New Year's here in Baltimore. You have a safe and happy one with your family.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
All righty. Still to come on News Channel 2 at 6 o'clock, the NFL fumbles its plans for expansion teams. But first, throughout tonight's newscast, we'll hear from people who made a difference during 1992. Dr. Davis Owen is a University of Maryland professor. And as part of his curriculum, he takes his students to Stewart Hill Elementary School to give kids there some free dental care.